Okay, let's try to do it in English then. My previous video hasn't been auto-dubbed by YouTube as it should be, so I will try to record the same video in English, even though I'm still not very confident in it, but what can I do? What can I do? Okay, what's new in the Light Wrangler 4.0? The first thing is you can now add a blocker or a flag. It's a simple thing that is used to block a light. You have almost all the same controls for the blocker as you have for the light. You can change the size, the dimensions, rotation, etc. And you also can toggle blocker's shape with an S key. Using the V key, you can toggle camera visibility. So, as you can see, when you turn camera visibility off, the blocker still blocks the light, but camera doesn't see it. Sometimes you need it in this way. This is a blocker, and the next thing is a reflector. It's essentially just a metallic reflective material that can be used to reflect a light. You can control brightness with mouse wheel, also the shape, and you also can control roughness of the reflector. So it could be almost like a mirror-like reflector, and it can be very rough depending on your goals. Light reflectors very commonly used in photography, but in 3D we actually need to be very careful with them, because reflected light adds a noise and contributes to rendering time because of the nature of the reflected light in 3D. So if you need a little bit of light here in 3D, we actually usually prefer to just use another light source. I'm sorry, let's delete it. Another light source, and you just make the brightness, change the brightness to the value that you need, and that's it. It will be much faster in terms of render time and noise, but you now have this ability to use reflectors if you need them, also blockers. And for blocker, you can control its opacity on the fly, so you can block, make it totally opaque, and you can control the transparency with mouse wheel. That was lights and blockers and reflectors, and their controls are now exposed here into the lights data tab. You see the corresponding section here: reflector controls and blocker controls. You can control everything from here, including camera visibility. Same thing now with the lights. All the controls that previously was only accessible via nodes section are now exposed into the light customization panel, so you actually can close this node section and move light customization panel all the way up, so it will perfectly stack with the main light controls. I think it's convenient. It's more convenient than it was previously. You can also change imperfection, edge sharpness, all the good things from the previous version. Same thing for HDRIs and gobos. Their controls are now exposed here. You don't need to go to the nodes section to control them. Let's try our funny light volume feature that is still currently in beta, but I haven't gained a lot of feedback on it. How stable is it? So if you have something to say, please contact me directly. We'll try to push the development of this feature even further. The next thing is that I've tried to bring back this interactive screen preview to this light customization panel. It was actually implemented a long time ago, but it was very unstable, so I had to disable it, and you need to enable it in the experimental features section in the add-on preferences, this screen preview toggle, and you can now see the screen preview right here on the light customization panel. This is a very new implementation, so I definitely would appreciate some feedback how it works on different machines, different operation systems, operating systems, I don't know. Sorry for my English, guys. I'm trying. I'm basically only speak English with you in these sporadic and rare videos on YouTube. So yeah, screen preview is here. The next thing is that you now have option to include Blender asset libraries here in the custom light assets panel in the Gobo folders section. So previously you was able to include your own custom textures, whether it's HDRI textures for area lights or Gobo textures, using these slots for specific folders. But now you not only can add as many slots as you need and remove them, you also can now turn on this toggle to include Blender asset libraries into the Gobo light customization mode. So if you configured some Gobo light asset libraries here in Blender, it now can read them here, and you can see now you can choose the source for your Gobos. There is a built-in collection with all the same Gobos from Light Wrangler, and you now can switch to your custom asset library. For example, this one is very good, and you can choose the category and then select from here. Again, all the controls for Gobos are now here on the panel. I think it's pretty cool. Same for HDRI textures. If you haven't specified any custom folders, you will only see these built-in textures, but if you will specify them here in this old-fashioned way, it still works, but I haven't implemented scanning Blender asset libraries for HDRI textures because there is not much of them out there that supports these custom libraries, asset libraries. It's not yet there, but for Gobos you now can scan asset libraries. You can also add as many IES folders slots as you need. Well, these were the most significant changes in the 4.0 version, and all other changes are quite minor. You can now disable obstacle avoidance for lights, so it would be easier to position the lights inside some car interiors or maybe some small spaces where you don't need to avoid any obstacles, any geometry, because this feature was enabled by default, but you wasn't able to disable it. Now you can do it. It actually works like this, so it never like falls inside the geometry or behind the geometry. Yeah, you now have this not interesting but pretty convenient light linking animation. When you link an object to a light, you'll see this little animation that helps you to understand what's going on. Even though you always have these info messages in the bottom right part of the screen. So the cone is now the only object that receives the light. The only receiver now ignores the light, and the cone removed from light linking collection. Something like this. You can now change the position of this HUD panel. If you don't like it on the right side, you can move it to the left in the viewport settings if you need. You can change the color of HUD text and HUD background for these little value tooltips that appears in the viewport when you change in the parameters. If you don't like these default colors, you can change them. The next thing is, now when you're using track to target for the light, you know this mode, yeah, right? When it creates an empty target and the light gets parented to it. Now if you will duplicate it, maybe it's using Shift D, and then move to another position, and if you need to reposition this new light in the interactive mode, you hit Tab. It automatically disables tracking and it starts to rotate around this new position. Previously it behaves in the wrong way. It was rotating around this old point. By the way, I don't think if it's a well-known feature that you can use this track to target feature in a different way. For example, if you just positioned your light like you want it, and then you just selecting the light and then use track to target, it automatically spans an empty object here at the aiming point. But if you select not only the light but also the target object you want to track. It's actually need to be selected in the different order. The object first and then the light. Then you can use track to target, and it constrains it to the object center, not to the empty object. Same works for several lights. If you're selecting the geometry, then you're selecting all the lights and using drag to target, they all now starts to track this target. These viewport gizmos, little gizmos here, previously worked in that way that you need to drag them, and that activates interactive positioning mode, but it stays active as long as you keep your left mouse button pressed, and it stops when you release the button. But now you can just click on this gizmo and it will enter a persistent interactive mode. So I think it's pretty convenient, because you now have one more option how you can enter interactive mode, whether it's using right click menu or using tab key, or now just clicking once to the gizmo. Also, one fairly new thing is that now you can use space to enter precise mode. Sometimes you don't need the light to be that smooth in terms of repositioning, and sometimes it doesn't allow you to position the light as precise as you need, so you can switch to the precise mode using space. Now it will directly aim the face you're aiming at. It's more precise. Space to disable this precise mode. You can use F to enter false color mode. You can use I to isolate current light. You can use H to hide current light. I think that's it in terms of new things. All other changes related to bug fixes, so I don't think I should mention all that stuff. I just want you guys to keep in mind that this version is still in beta and I haven't published it yet, and I would really appreciate if you help me testing it. So if you want to try it out, please reach out to me via email or Discord or whatever option you prefer, and I will give you access to the add-on. Okay, thank you for your attention, and let's be in touch. Ciao.